Your photograph has a voice. Yes, and it's very important. Let's talk about it. That sounds pretty poetic, right? Well, if you consider photography is an art form, then it is not difficult to think like that. Photography can be an art, just like a painting or a sculpture. But the question here is, what is a photography voice and why it is important? Before I start talking about photography voices, let's trace back in the history of photography and understand how this comes about. Remember the day when you first picked up a camera and how exciting it was? Clicking randomly, capturing anything that went past you, then picking up the prints and viewing them one by one hours later, reminding what happened early in the day when you held the camera up to your eyes. Photography is like a memory capsule. Well, at least that's how it started since the first camera with a recording medium, for the very reason to remember. This principle hadn't changed until a more portable setup became available. But just exactly when photography is starting to become art? Well, I guess you have to question what art is first. You can say that a painting of a person is an art, as each art piece is unique, and the artist's skills and strokes can be identified through close inspection of the painting. And certainly, this can't be done with a photograph, as one can argue that anyone can set up a tripod, and anyone can press that shutter. So, anyone, in theory, can take the same picture. And yes, this is why for a long time, many debate whether photography can be considered as art. This argument perhaps is true for a very long time. Portability played a good part in breaking the belief that photographs were only made to remember. With portability comes with mobility, and this means photographer can move more freely, travel further, and explore different angles to capture a photograph. And that ultimately leads to creative experimentations. These experimentations, while many failed, some did change the landscape of photography forever. Visual lines, negative space, and how about long exposure techniques and motion blur? The combinations of any or all of these can create something extraordinary, even in today's digital world. And these effects become the artistic impression that can be unique to a photographer. Because of mobility, photographer doesn't need to stand rigidly and take whatever it is in front of the camera. And now, the photographer can move to follow the subject. With creative freedom started to form, photographers started to construct photographs. Well, when I say construct, they started to plan with detailed information that can be included in the photograph, whether it's light, time, season, or even little details within the frame. And this is far different to what most of the 1900 portraits look like. So, the voice in your photography is the very personal and unique artistic impression that you, as a photographer, impose in the images that you create. Yet, this may seem easy and simple, but for a photographer to have a voice in the increasing competitive digital world, your photography voice is even more important. Just like in singing, a successful voice has to be recognized. But in photography, it means a consistent display of great images. Images that convey the similar message with not only the similar visual stimulant, but also with similar approach used by the photographer to create those images. To my mind, photographs can be read and be recognized by the viewers. Of course, I'm not suggesting anyone to compare him or herself to masters like Henri Cartier-Bresson or Don McCullum or Steve McCurry and Annie Leibovitz. But for a photograph to be recognized, it has to be very special. Because when you consider the number of images that these masters created when compared to what's available, they're just like sand particles on a beach. Especially now, we take almost 2 billion pictures per day. What I'm saying is that it's almost impossible just to throw an image out and be recognized instantly. And this is why creating a coherent body of work or establishing a photography voice is increasingly important for any photographer who wants to succeed. However, don't get confused between voice to themes. You can have different themes to suit your projects or different subjects, but a successful photographer will always use his or her own established approach to photograph, and his or her images will have a certain elements that translate into this unique voice that speaks to the audience. To create this unique voice, you first need to master the fundamentals. Then use your eyes to interpret what's in front of you. As each person sees things differently, so will his photo if he can master the link between the subject and his eyes. And when this link is established, well, he will be in automatic mode, as it becomes the natural way for him to interpret or see the world. In the end, it doesn't matter which genre you choose to specialize. Once you carve out a direction you want to focus, keep at it, refine it, and improve it until your photography voice is heard. You don't need anything special to gain attention. If your pictures start to talk, then slowly they will form a collection and a body. And by then, your voice will be loud and audience will start to listen. We now live in a social media infested world, and at first it seems daunting, but there are some good things to be had. Photographers no longer need to have associations with large professional bodies to get accredited, or even to establish relationships with gallery curators. The world of photography has been liberated by the internet and the countless public platforms that you can showcase your photos. These platforms are free to search, and your work will be evaluated and seen through the eyes of millions and not just a few individuals. Of course, the internet can be equally dangerous and sometimes have adverse effects on photographers, especially beginners. But I will cover that another time. For now, you just need to know that you have many outlets to showcase your work to the world, and they are free. So there is no better time to start photography and start taking charge of your creative mind and put your thoughts into pictures. See what you can make and achieve. Remember, a great photograph speaks to its audience, and a great portfolio or body of work shouts to the audience of the world. The louder your voice, the easier to get noticed and be recognized. And this brings to the end of this video, and you know what to do now. Thumb if you liked it and sub if you want to stay in touch with all things photography and filmmaking. Peace. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this particular video. And yeah, I'm making a lot of these videos now, as you can see, and I'm enjoying it. And I'm really hoping that the photography community that I'm hoping to build will be strong and, you know, like good. But anyway, I have set up a Facebook community called See the World on Facebook, and so you can submit your photos, join there, and have a friendly discussion and also exchange about, you know, your photography. It's really fun. You know, there are already quite a few joined there and submitting photos every day. So it's actually kind of a cool little community that I've set up, and it's really good. So if you want to check it out, just go to Facebook, search See the World. You should see the group there and just join, and you should see the, you know, their pictures and things like that there. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. The name of the group, See the World, means everything. Basically, I welcome people from around the world. Doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter where you come from. There's no gender issues there, nothing. It's all about pictures. So submit your photos. Anyway, I want to keep this brief, and I want to speak to you guys on my next episode. See you all very soon. Bye for now.